Hello, and welcome back to Tilgate Tales. Today's story is all about a very festive animal. Now, when you think of animals associated with Christmas, what comes to mind? Turkey, maybe? Maybe a donkey? Well, today's story is all about a robin, those cute little red birds that hop around in the wintertime. We have a robin here at Tilgate, out in the park. His name is Russ, and something very interesting happened to Russ quite recently. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. The hoof on the roof. When something goes wrong at Tilgate and everyone's making a fuss, the animals call their detective, a loud little robin called Russ. He keeps order and the forest law, though a policeman he is not. But he's rather loud and boisterous and likes shouting at people a lot. But his detecting skills are second to none. He's a keen investigator. And when mysteries happen at Tilgate, he gets called sooner or later. And whilst many grumble that he can be rather mean, when something strange is happening, he's always first on the scene. So when a squirrel saw a footprint in crisp, new-fallen snow, she immediately called Russ to help, for surely he would know. She put her foot inside the print. "My hand is much too small. It's not a bird foot either. The shape didn't match at all." Russ hopped up to the print, which was made up on the roof, and studied it with his detective eyes. "Squirrel, that's a hoof." "A hoof? Way up here?" she said. "That cannot be right." "How?" she pressed, and Russ replied, "Soon it'll come to light. Let's find some witnesses. Quickly, spread the word." And quickly it became quite clear some strange things had occurred. "Oh, those prints are made at night," said a crow with a knowing caw. "I didn't believe it at first, I agree, but I'm just saying what I saw." "What did you see?" Russ asked. "Now, this is the honest truth. No word of a lie. It was a flying deer. And that print is the proof." "Deer can't fly," Russ reasoned. "Perhaps you saw a bat?" The crow shook his head indignantly. "It certainly wasn't that. It had strange trees poking out of its head, like branches out of its noggin. And this funny old chap was talking to it from the back of a shining toboggan." "There's some deer in the park," Russ agreed. He suspected that's what the crow meant. "I saw some roe deer earlier, though I don't know where they went." "No," said the crow quite firmly. "These were different than those. They were bigger and greyer, and one had a big shiny nose." Russ the robin bobbed up and down and thought about what he'd said. The roe deer were little and brown, with small antlers on their head. A different kind of deer, Russ thought. There aren't any in the park. "He's wrong," said the squirrel as he left. "It's hard to see in the dark." Roof deers did seem silly. Perhaps the crow was mistaken. Russ pondered. This was quite the toughest case he'd taken. But then a fieldfare piped up. Perhaps a reindeer might be to blame. Now, fieldfares are visitors to England. She'd only recently came. "I know I don't know my way around yet, but have you asked at the zoo?" "We're in it now," the crow pointed out. "Who are you talking to?" The new voice was a curious one, not like the chirp of a bird. The crow shuffled excitedly. "That's like the deer that I heard." A reindeer stepped out from the shed and craned her head up to see. Russ held his wing up to hail her. "Stop and listen to me. Did you make this mark in the snow?" The reindeer blinked in surprise. "Show us your feet," he continued, and the crow said, "Ask if she flies." "Answer his question," Russ demanded, with as much force as he could muster. And Freya the reindeer smiled at him, so bold and full of bluster. "I've flown before," she began to say, "but last night, that wasn't me. My friends and I had guests. I have proof if you want to see." She nodded towards the reindeer shed, and Russ hesitated, but it was time to solve the mystery. Too long they had waited. "It could be dangerous," Russ warned, but the crow said, "I have to know." "It's cold out here," the fieldfare added. "At least let's get out of the snow." Russ the robin flew in, and the others came in too. And inside the shed was a massive sack, and deer, not one, but two. "This is Nana and Aduna. We all live here together," We like the cold, said the second deer. For us, this is the perfect weather. But once a year, around this time, began Iduna, the third, 9 more reindeer visit us. We 3 become a herd. Santa likes to check on us, Freya explained to the group, to make sure we've practiced flying every dip and soar and swoop. He feeds us magic lichen, green stuff that lets us fly, and tests our skills at pulling sleighs with toys across the sky. And some Christmases, if he needs us, say Blitzen slips on the ice, he can call on us, his backup team, and he has done, once or twice. But the hoof print wasn't you? Russ asked, the mystery on his mind. That's Rudolph's calling card. He leaves that behind, marking the houses they visited in their trip on Christmas night. You might have seen his shiny nose that gleams with Christmas light. No one mentioned a light, Russ said, and the crow rubbed his wing. Well, now you start to mention it, you had forgotten something. Russ rolled his eyes and sighed. Should never have got you involved. But his eyes spied some words on the sack. For when the mystery is solved. The sack wasn't heaving with presents. It wasn't filled up to the brim. Inside lay just 3 gifts for the fieldfare crow and him. Freya passed out the presents to the fieldfare, Russ and Crow. But Russ just stood dumbfounded. How did he know? Russ never solved that mystery. It was far too tough. All he had was a hoof as his only proof, but for magic that was enough. No one can know everything. We can only try and reason. Perhaps you'll find new mysteries in the magic of the season.